This is a one-stop you get. You don't stay over here.
Yeah, I felt like the most accurate spot.
No, you better smell this. I'm my Uncle Nimmer. Right around where Rodney King got beat. I was in jail. Still in jail.
Twice, actually. Man, you got it.
I mean. I don't know. Does it sound taste like sawdust? No, it's not bad. No. We're spoiled up here with the good meats.
Okay, so while we're waiting for everybody to jump back on, I will tell you guys this for those that are on here. So I was looking up some stuff over the weekend and I was looking at some more things now. You know, I start out when I present price, like I told you guys, at an interest rate of 9.9% for 36 months. So I started poking around to look. For a $10,000 loan, 10,000 unsecured, keeping in mind most of all of this is at 36% or 36 months because they don't finance much longer than that. Check this out. Banks, Citibank, for an unsecured loan with really, really excellent credit, 10.49% all the way up to 19.49%. US Bank, 9.24 up to 24.99. Wells Fargo, 8.49 all the way up to 24.49. USAA, 9.94 to 18.51. Navy Federal Credit Union, 9.10 to 18%. Members Federal Credit Union, starting at 12.39%. Penn Federal Credit Union, 9.9% up to 17.9%. All of these are unsecured. The average interest rate on $10,000 on an unsecured note across the US is 13.5%. So to show 9.9%, you're doing good here. Even at 9.9, we're doing good, just so you know. Okay. I know Texas, if you look into Texas, Texas starts out average at 9.10%. So when we open up at 9.9%, or we open up at 11.9%, if you wanted to do that too, nothing wrong with that, just so you know. That's a good rate, guys. That's a good rate. Cam says he can't get in, Cody.
It's the same link. I don't know why you can't. Nothing changed on it.
You know, so to show that rate, see, Cody. Okay, so to show 9.9%, just so you guys know, you're still showing a pretty good rate. Now, when you look at some of these places like Seattle for sure, Dallas for sure, where these guys' average ticket is $21,000, $22,000, $23,000. I'm gonna tell you right now, there ain't no way you're gonna be able to get a loan for that on an unsecured note, not for something that with an average ticket at that high. Even in Portland, your guys' average ticket, Cody, is what, 17.9, something like that? Yeah. Even at 17.9, Cody, the chances of being able, the chances of you being able to, now the echo's back.
Somebody has two devices. The only reason there's an echo is if there's two devices open in the same room streaming this.
Did it happen when we came
They
on?
have two devices turned on to this.
It's not me. So anyway, to start out at 9.9 is really, really good, guys. It really is. That is a good interest rate to start out showing. It really is. Okay. But if you guys will do some research on your own and find out, places like Wells Fargo and Citibank. I mean, I just read that stuff off to you guys right now. And so now that everybody's joining in,
Here we go.
what I was doing, everybody, is I know that some of you get a little weirded out that to start out at 9.9% might be a little bit high. That it may or may not turn some people off. So I started looking at stuff over the weekend, and here's what I came up with. According to a place called Bank Rate Study, the average personal loan interest rate is 11.56% as of January the 3rd, 2024. When you look at different banks, what they pulled up was Citibank. Citibank starts out on a personal loan like this or an unsecured note at 10.49%. They go as high as 19.49. US Bank is at 9.24 up to 24.99. Wells Fargo is at 8.99 all the way up to 24.49 as long as you have an auto pay. Without auto pay, they're 9.9%. USAA, our military, they start at 9.94% all the way up to 18.51. And Navy Federal Credit Union is at 9.9% all the way up to 18. First Members Federal Credit Union starts out at 12.39%. All of these are on 36 months too, by the way. So the longer the time goes, the higher the interest rate becomes. So these are all on 36 months. Okay. So the gist here is, or the thing is you can feel comfortable showing this rate of 9.9%. You can. Okay. Showing 9.9 shouldn't blow a lot of people out of the water. And the people that it does blow out of the water, that's because they're still thinking of what used to be. Okay. That's what they're thinking, what used to be. But the interest rate, if you'll pull these things up, 9.9 is good. So the reason I show 9.9 is because if I have to sit there and move on this payment because this payment is too high, I can move on the payment by lowering the interest rate and extending out the terms to further be able to lower the payment, plus give the customer that sense of winning, that by doing that, they're getting a lower interest rate than they originally started out looking at. Okay. The biggest part of what makes people want to buy things too is just the euphoria of winning. So by being able to not only lower the payment, but at the same time, they also get the sense of winning by getting a lower interest rate without us having to sit there and drop our price. Okay. It's an old used car trick. It's a sales trick is really what it is. Car sales, they don't have the kind of markup and things the way we do. So what they do is they show high numbers and all that, start narrowing things down payment wise and down payment wise to a customer. And then they lower the interest rate and extend the terms without having to be able to drop the cost of the product. Okay. So this is a better way to show though. So that's why I would encourage everybody to show 9.9% or 10.9 or 11.9, and you can show whatever you guys want, but that's what I do.
Hey, Terry,
Yes.
can I just share a quick example of this exact principle? I tried this for the first time, by the way, on this last sale that I got. And I was a little nervous to do it because it's not something I've ever shown in that way before. But, when I put the price in front of them, and then I reminded them, I said, hey, the point of us getting together here was not to put you in the window poorhouse, obviously, as we talked about. Is that a number that can fit in your budget, right? And so the two of them looking at each other, it was like $772 a month at 9.9 for 36 months, and they were very, very seriously trying to figure that out. And when they asked then if there were any other options, they said, well, it depends. If we check your credit and there's some other options that pull up, I can let you know what those are now, but this is where we're at this point. And is that something that's going to work for you guys? Anyway, long story short, we get through the process of getting all their paperwork done, running their credit, seeing what the options are. And I'm telling you, the wife about jumped out of her chair. She felt like she just won the lottery because, hey, not only were they approved, but we could get their payment down to $372 a month instead of $772 a month. And it was done. But it was like that shock of, hey, this is what it's supposed to be, and then this is what I can get. They really did feel like they were winning big time. And it was cool to see that.
Sure. I mean, in the end, it's all these people want is to win.
And that was the 7.9 84 month loan, by the way.
The funny thing is everybody here that's a veteran rep, we've all asked ourselves this question before. You went out, you pitched, you did a good job, you didn't sell it. A week or 2 or 3 weeks later, whatever it is, you call somebody back, find out if they're ready to move forward or not. And you find out that they bought windows from Renewal by Andersen, or you find out they bought from DeBella, or you found out they bought from Pella. And you're sitting there telling yourself, oh my God, I don't understand that. I'm way cheaper than they are. This is a way better product. But yet they still bought from somebody else. Well, I firmly believe this, that this is part of the reason. The way Apex used to do things, and the way we're used to doing with Apex, is we give that quote unquote, here's our best price, here's our lowest price, here's the 58% off, blah, 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 blah. Customer sits there and asks, well, can you do a little bit better? Can you this? I really can't afford this. Can you do better? Can you do better? And the answer is no. You don't sell it. They think about it. They go somewhere else. They end up buying somewhere else for a lot more money. Well, part of that reason that happened is because when they were talking to Renewal by Andersen or whoever else, and they were originally looking at a $4,500 per window price, and now they're looking at a $3,100 per window price, they won. In their mind, they worked, they fought, they talked, they negotiated, and they won. And that feeling of winning is the reason why they decided to go in that direction. We talk about the stuff that we sold because we came in a lot less. But I can promise you there's a lot of deals that everybody on this phone call has made that you did not get. And the reason you did not get is because the customer didn't get the feeling of winning. And most people want to win. They want that feeling that they won. Even if that means they go somewhere else to get that feeling. Okay? So this worked for those kind of people. For those people who just overall look at the price and say, yep, that's a much better price than anybody else, this still works for them too. They'll still say yes to it. And they'll still buy. But we have to be able to show that, again, most people have to have that feeling that I won. I did good for myself. I negotiated up a storm here when I normally don't do a good job with that, and I won. Not only did I sit there and get a lower payment, but I got a lower interest rate on top of that, damn it. I won. And for some people, that's the way that it is. Okay. So for me, this is why I start at 9.9%. Because unfortunately for me, I have not been able to figure out yet that person that wants to win on that just by talking to him and looking at him. I've not figured that part out yet. So because I haven't, I do it this way every time in case I run across that couple or that person is that way. So that's what I would suggest you do. Stay away from the 0% programs, guys. Stay away. Those are not the best programs to show. Stay away from those. Those should be used when they need to be used, not offered. You do not throw that shit out in front of everybody and offer that. The problem by doing that is that's a bullet you take away from yourself, first off. Second off, you don't want that person feeling that they can get 0% interest. And then when they can't qualify for that, or they can't save up that kind of money because they're trying to buy $12,000 worth of windows, which means they got to save $1,000 a month. And now when they can't do that, you have just put a 0% interest rate in their head. And no matter how low we go, you're going to have a harder time selling that now because they're already sold on 0%. 0% is something we should be showing to close a deal, not as an option to buy windows. But that should be used to close. That should be used for the guy that says, look, if you call me back in 9 months, same offer, same price, same everything, I can do it in 9 months. I'll be good to go. And I'm going to pay cash. Now we sit there and we use that program after we close all of our doors. Then you use that. Something that Ari and I talked about over the weekend the other day, on Saturday. Okay? A customer tells you, I love all this pricing. I love it. The price is great. It's this. But you know what? I just can't do it right now. But if you call me back in 6 or 7 months, I'll be able to do it in 6 or 7 months. I can do it then. Well, before you offer the 12 months, no interest and no payments, you have to get commitments first. So the commitments, even my computer thought that was a good idea. So commitments. So let me ask you a question, Mr. Blaylock. What you're saying is, if I could come back here in 8 months with the same offer, the same savings, the same window, the same warranty, everything the same, are you telling me 8 months from now, if I could wave a magic wand and it was 8 months later, we'd be able to get together on this order? Is that what you're telling? Get that commitment. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Great. How would we be paying for that? How would we do it? How would we pay for that? Well, we'd be paying cash. Fantastic. So I'll tell you what. Are you open to suggestion? Yes. Then here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to put this on a 12 months with no interest and no payments. Seeing how you're going to be ready in 9 months like you're telling me. However, if things get a little bit weird, you'll have an extra 3 months longer than that. But you'll be able to see the savings and take advantage of all of this now by placing your order and starting this partnership now. So if everything you're telling me is right, and I believe it to be because it came out of your mouth, then this should work for you without a problem. Whose name are we going to put this in? That's when you use that program. Other than that, you don't take away bullets from yourself. Yes, in the past, you've shown it, and somebody said, yeah, I'll take advantage of it and I'll do it. That's all fine and dandy for when it works. But how many did we miss because we threw that out there and we didn't have anywhere else to go now? So that's what I would sit there and tell you. One program and one program only. Show them this. We'll work off of that and we'll start working ourselves backwards if we have to. But in the event they happen to sit there and buy here, in the event that they do, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Just sit there and tell them, okay, fantastic. Welcome to the family, blah, 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 blah. Turn around and go ahead and run their credit. Do, 7.9% for 60 months then. Then do that. Hey, listen, I got good news, folks. Looks like I got something going on here that's actually going to be able to help even better. You said yes at 9.9% for 36 months. I can actually get you approved at 7.9% for 60 months. So what we know for sure is you're going to be able to pay this off at this rate in 36 months anyway. Do the same thing here. The only difference is you're going to save 2 points on your money instead of 9.9, 7.9. So I'm assuming you're not going to say no to that, are you? No. Nobody says no to that. No, I don't wanna do that. You know what, I'd rather pay the 9.9% for 36 months, that's what I'd rather do. Nobody says that crap. Nobody does. Not even an idiot says that. Not even one of those. So, to me, this is where you should start, and this is where I would be at. Okay? You can pull the app off your calculator to find out what the true blue payment is. Me personally, I just use 345. That's the payment factor I use. It's close enough, it puts me in the neighborhood, so I don't have to worry about it. So how does that work? Just take the selling amount times 3.45. That'll give you your payment. So if I was in the house at 14,390, I would take 14,390 times 3.45, move my decimal point over 2 spots, payment's $496.45. That's what I would show. 496.45. Or just round up and say 497. So that's the payment factor that I use. Payment factor. The number you use multiplied by what you're financing to give you the payment. So all you got to do is take that dollar amount, multiply that by 3.45, whatever number you get, move the decimal point over 2 spots. There's your payment. That's enough to at least be able to get you here. So, with me doing this, I'm showing roughly 10% down, so that's 14,390. So, in my case here, I would just round up and say, hey, look, 2,000. With your $2,000 down, your payment is going to be $496 a month. That's what I show. I understand 2,000 from here, you're only financing 12,390. I get it. But I always use the entire amount without a down payment. I always show that. This way, if I have to go to 0 down, I don't have to change the payment on them so nobody can freak out here. Okay, so I'm always going to sit there and show whatever it is, and I don't consider the down payment at the time. Could you show 0 down here if you wanted to? You could. If you want to, you could show 0 right away. I prefer to try to get a down payment though, always, for a couple of reasons. One, in case they're not quite credit worthy for the amount we're trying to get financed. And number 2, by getting a down payment from the customer, it shows more commitment on the customer side. It shows a little more commitment. Kind of ties that deal down together a little bit. So that's the reason why I do it. But if you wanted to show 0%, you could. You know, I mean personally, I always show something like that. Once you put this out in front of them, then we find out what's what. Okay. So wherever anybody is bucking here at this point in time, we just need to start in a spot. Me personally, when I start going through all of my crap, I always start out with the price first. Do you believe this price to be fair and honest? That's where I start. That's my number 1. From there, usually the customer has given me enough to know whether this is going to be a cash deal or a finance deal or not. Especially if they do what Michelle did last week, where when she saw this, first thing she goes is, wow, that interest rate is 9.9%. That's pretty high. That told me right away, they're not considering this at all on the cash side. So chances are this is where we have to be. But just to make sure, I'm going to eliminate cash right away. You know, you believe that to be fair and honest? Yep, I do. If you were to move forward this, would you take advantage of the cash option here? No, we don't have the cash for it. Cross that out. Now it's time to start working here. How about the $2,000? Does that fit? And then when it does fit, so, hey, Cody, let me ask you a question. I'll start with you. In your office, on deals that you sell, whether it be cash or finance, for every 100 deals you sell, how many of them do the customer cancel within the 3-day right to rescind? What is your percentage?
Not many, out of 100, maybe 5%, 7% the most.
Okay, Seattle, what's your number, Kate?
You used to be higher, probably, I don't know, it's really low, a couple a year, like, I think I had
Yeah, it's like-
one last year, did you have, how
I
many?
didn't have any.
Zero, so yeah,
Oh, I had one.
3%, 3,
Okay. Mark, I know yours is a little higher than 3%, if I'm not mistaken.
Terry, I was taking a note while you were asking the question. Repeat the question for me, please.
What I was asking is how often do you sit there and take your wife to dinner?
Oh, not often enough, for sure.
Right, because that's not what I was really asking. So we should be
Yeah, I know.
paying attention to Shorty here, okay?
I am. I was just writing down what you said so intently that I missed the actual question.
Oh, yeah, which means we weren't fucking listening. Gotcha. Okay, so check it out. It doesn't matter. So cancellations is what I was talking about. How often is a percentage why do people cancel? So check this out. Look. More often than not, typical deals that tend to cancel percentage wise, cash deals because of the down payment or because of how long somebody has to wait to get their windows, or a lot of times when you finance something and you're still getting money down. If it's me, when I'm doing a cash deal or getting any kind of money, I always go through the worst case scenario thing that you guys heard me go through last week. So if somebody was going to put 30% down, let's just say that 30% is $5,000. Let's just say that it is. I would then walk the customer through a worst case scenario. Let me ask you a question, Mr. Customer. This $5,000 you put down, let's assume you put the down payment down. And for whatever the reason, we're able to see into the future after you put your money down. And this is what your future says. Your future says that your refrigerator is going to have to be replaced. Your car is going to take a dump and you're going to have to go ahead and get it fixed. And your son needs that special G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip. If all of that happened, if it all happened, would you wish you had some of that money back? Or would you still be okay? Where'd that put us? And let's find out. Because more often than not, in each one of your locations, when a customer cancels, usually the excuse they give you is because an emergency came up. That is the number one problem, number one excuse for cancellations is an emergency came up. Tell me I'm wrong. We have more emergencies that come up in the window and door industry than the ER of a hospital. I've never seen anything like it. So what we have to do is we have to eliminate the emergencies. So that's how I do it. If we could see in the future, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, this, and this, and this. In other words, if the emergency came up, would we still be okay with this down payment? Yeah, I would be okay. Okay, so no matter what the emergency is, we're still good to go. Right. Now we can take that type of cancellation away by doing that. So that's partly why I do the down payment too. With zero money down, I can't close that way. I can't use that and get a verbal commitment from the customer if I have zero down. So when you're getting a down payment, cash or whatever, that is the scenario I would walk everybody through. So we can try to eliminate these 3 to 5 or 6 or 7% of the emergencies that come up during our cancellations. Okay, so once I get myself to here though, then I'm going to have to get the customer to pick one side versus another. If you eliminate cash, then that puts us over here. And then from there, we have to figure out, does the down payment fit in the budget? Is the payment going to fit in the budget? Okay. So you started the down payment. What about, well, that payment, we can't afford that monthly payment. Okay. Not a problem, folks. And I'll certainly get to that. But before we get to that, you know, the important part here is Does this fit in your budget without taking bread and butter off the table? Yeah, we can afford the $2,000, but I can't afford that $496. Heard you. So let me ask you this though, okay? This fits. So I would circle this. Okay, we like this. That's okay, but we don't like this. So let me ask you, what payment does fit in your budget that doesn't take bread and butter off the table? What would that payment need to be? More often than not, the answer you're going to get is going to be half. That's what they always say more often than not. Well, it's going to be half, it has to be half of that. Okay, well, half of 500 is 250. So you're saying 250 fits in your budget, yes? Yes. Out of curiosity, what if it was closer to 275? Would that fit in your budget? 275 is a little high. That'd be stretching it, you know? That would be stretching it. Then what we know for sure is 250 doesn't really work. So if you get to 250 here, chances are you're going to get an excuse as to why they can't buy. So 250 will not work. So now what we do know is chances are 7.9% for 84 months is probably not going to work. Therefore, we need to get to the 7.9% for 180. Payment factor on that is less than 1%, which means I know I can get down to a payment of at 1% or less of $143 a month. So now when I show the 143, tell you what I'll do is we can go ahead and do this. Payment's going to be $143 a month at 7.99% for 180 months. Okay. Pay this off anytime you want to, blah, 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 blah. We'll walk them down that word track. But they're getting a better interest rate, well below the number. Now I can hold them a little more accountable. Since 250 fits in your budget, then we know 143 certainly does. So if everything you're telling me is on the straight up, and I believe it to be because you said so, then this should work. The great thing is at $250 a month, you can pay this way off, way early. Get a better interest rate, so you'll pay a lot less interest at the same time. So this obviously should work.
It's only
Is that-
36 to 180.
Do what?
Either 36 month or 7.9% for 180 months. It's one or the other.
Yeah, 7.9%. Now I would go there and be able to show that. And again, if you look at it, payment's way lower. Interest rate is lower. Customer wins all the way around. Okay,
Gotcha. Just know, I just want to make sure. No in between.
do what?
No in between in terms of those percentages and the amount of months that we put the payment for, right? Correct?
That in this case, for what I'm knowing, then yes, this is what I would do. You could do 7.9% for 180, but or for 84 months, but I would imagine that payment's is going to be closer to the 250. And
Okay, I got you now.
I already know 250 is not going to work because they can't do 275. That's why you ask for a bump every single time, no matter what the number is. If the customer would have told me, you know, that it needs to be $200 a month. $200 a month fits in the budget. Okay, at 200, let me ask you, what if it was closer to 225? You know, we could probably do it. I mean, it'd be a little strong, but we could probably do it. Then chances are 200 doesn't really work either. The reason why they're telling you what they're telling you is because they don't know that we can lower the interest rate and extend the terms. To them, to get the lower payment means we have to give them a lower price. The problem is when you start out with 7.9 for 180 and all that, you've gone as far down low as you can go. The only way to get any lower is to lower the price. That is the only way. So you can't take away bullets from yourselves. One step at a time, we work our way down.
Do you ever get any pushback when you go to fill out the paperwork and the number's exactly the same? They would feel like they're winning less?
Say that again?
So like, you're not taking off of the actual amount, so, let's say you sell a deal that people feel like they win. And they think that you've taken off of that total, hypothetically in their mind. When you actually fill out the contract and they see that number right there glaring in front of them, is there ever any pushback?
Once in a while, you're gonna get that guy that'll sit there and say, oh, I thought the windows were gonna cost less. You'll get that once in a blue moon. It's, well, you know what, sir? No, it's not that the windows are gonna cost less. What I was able to do is lower your interest rate and extend your terms to be able to lower your payment and whatnot. The cost of the product is still what the cost of the product is going to go ahead and be. But this is what I was able to do to go ahead and get within your budget. If you start out showing 143 at 7.9% for 180, again, the customer's trying to work you just like you're working them. So now when the customer says, "Whoa, 143, yeah, that doesn't fit," where are you gonna go now?
Nowhere.
Right. We have nowhere to go. Absolutely nowhere to go.
Huh?
Yeah, absolutely nowhere to go. You're stuck. Absolutely stuck. And even if you can lower the payment by $2,000, even if you could, you're only lowering the monthly payment $20. FYI, if a customer can't afford $143 a month, they can't afford $113 either.
Terry, on that note, just like the difference between the 6.9 at 120 months and the 7.9 at 180 months is literally, it's like $20 to the customer. So we would be saving ourselves a pretty large chunk of costs to the project if we offer the 120 months versus the 180 months in that example. And it would still fall well within your reasoning of saying, hey, we're not going to go with the 84 month because that would be 222 and that's a little too close to 250.
You could do that too.
So
Doesn't
just that's something that I didn't think about a lot. And then Matt brought it up at one point and I was like, oh yeah, that cost me a lot less to do that.
Yeah, 6.9, if I'm not mistaken, 6.9% for 120 months. Your payment factor is right at 1.20. More or less. But I think rounding up at 6.9% for 120 should put you at 1.2. That's $120 payment for every 10,000.
A little high, but very close.
Right. It's going to be on the high side because it technically comes out to be 1.1837 or some bullshit like that. I just round up and say 1.2. So that's $120 payment for every 10 grand.
Yep, that works.
Yep. Now do 7.99 for 180 at 10,000.
For 180, you said?
Yep.
That's $94.99, so $95.
So that means your payment factor is 0.0095. So that's a $95 payment for every 10 grand. So you can go $95 for 10,000, or you can go $120 for 10 grand, depending on which payment plan you want to go on, 6.9 for 120 or the 7.9 for 180. Okay. Again, you have the flexibility to be able to do it. The point is, if you don't start here and start negotiating that payment down, and you open up starting to show that stuff right away, you're going to sell some deals for sure, but you're going to miss more than your fair share of them because you're not going to have nowhere else to go. So that's the way it works. You don't want to take away ammunition from yourself. So what I'd like to do, I'll let you guys go. Tomorrow, what I want to do with everybody, and hopefully we can do this, I want to be able to put this up on the board, and I want us to be able to go through all the different excuses as to what we need to do, so I can help you guys negotiate through this. Once you start to hear the same thing over and over again, you guys will pick up on it a lot faster. Okay? But we'll go ahead and take an example out of each office, and we'll go through a closing scenario on this. But if you hear, once you hear this 6, 7, 8 times a day for the next couple days, you should find it'll be a lot easier for you to go through. Okay? Does that sound fair?
Yeah.
That's good.
All right. Listen,
He's doing the ball.
He's learning to go slow.
Throw it off, do one up, one down. Oh, yeah, he's watching. That one actually was kind of real.
Forgot the heart.
oh yeah.
Come on, Terry, do it with your mouth open.
You gotta pay for that.
Dude,
Dance thing.
you're gonna have to do a lot better than just ask for that, brother. For that. We're gonna need you to reach into the pocket and start pulling out these for that, brother. All right, everybody. Thank you. Seattle, nice job out there at that home show this weekend. Tear it up this week. We'll see everybody tomorrow at the same bat time on the same bat channel. Thank you. Peace.
Terry, I have one question.
Yes.
Do we have a updated version of like the Green Sky plans here? Or, there was one that Heather had sent out a while back. Does anybody have a more updated version of that?
I was
I only
thinking
have
about
the one-
making one.
Yeah, I only have the one
I
that
can
she
make-
sent out, but the price is higher than what is on that sheet for the 6.9 or 7.9 at 180.
Yeah, that's what I'm wanting to make sure that we had one that was accurate, because the ones that's on here, definitely, this is the one that Heather had sent out, the most recent one, and it doesn't have the right plans on here, and I want to make sure the merchant fees are correct as well. I just wasn't sure if I couldn't find it or something, so I just shot her an email to see if there's an updated version of it.
Thanks, Cody.
I don't think there. I think we could make one, because I also just asked Heather because
Hold on real quick, guys. I have Heather on the phone now. Hold on. Hey, Miss Heather.
Ooh, look at that. Boom.
Is your ass grouchy? Are you being grouchy?
What?
Okay, well, who do you want me to get mad at for being grouchy with you? Okay, well, we need to put together a deal and make sure that we can fill out a missing persons later. Hey, I need a favor, Miss Heather, if you don't mind. Right. We can do what we need to do to make sure that somebody else is able to fill that out, you know what I mean? Heather, can you do me a favor, baby? I need some help. Can you, a different kind of help, not medical help. So can you send me, and send my MSPs to a list of the current plans that we're using now and that's available to us now, please?
If you're the one that agreed to do this stuff like reviews and everything like that, I mean, you still are giving them.
You can give me that and then send it to all the MSPs as well. I've got them on a training video right now, and we're talking about the new plans, and it appears that these guys are the wrong ones.
Oh, I only did that a handful of times.
Yeah, but like Seattle was still able to the other day, as you saw.
Hey, this is like right now, versus it said it's only good for 7 days.
So I want to make it clear that we have all the updated ones that we are allowed to use.
Yeah, for sure. So I have to do that.
If you don't mind.
I think it was the solo one for you. You were going through it. Grabbed it.
All right, let me let you go. I'll let them know right now when I have on this call. All right, guys. So Miss Heather said,
Stop grabbing shit from him, just let him do his job.
I would love that. I'd be like, that's a great.
Yeah, that's good. Great, we're already signed it?
Perfect.
Great, let me give people things to sign.
Heather said she'll go ahead and look all that stuff up and she'll get everything out to everybody. She's looking for it now.
Cool.
Thanks, Terry.
Okay.
Well, you got the whole. Thanks for that.
All right. Peace, everybody. I'm out.
All right. See ya.
It was like a. It was weird.
You squishing my head? You were squishing